Am I wrong for refusing to hand over my paycheck to my boyfriend's toxic family? Please let me know if I am being an absolute jerk here. I am currently being targeted, harassed, and blackmailed by my boyfriend's 3 toxic sisters. Now, his enabling family is actively trying to turn me into the villain. To give you some vital context, my boyfriend has 3 adult sisters who have completely burned every bridge in their lives. They have strained transactional relationships with everyone because the only time they ever reach out to family is when they want a handout. Growing up, their parents completely favored the girls, spoiling them rotten and giving them whatever they demanded, while my boyfriend was systematically ignored and left out. Because of this, his sisters grew up believing the world owes them everything, and if you ever dare to tell them no, they will immediately gaslight you. They will then guilt-trip you and relentlessly trash your name until you finally cave to their demands. But it gets so much worse, as almost none of the men in the family will speak to or help his sisters anymore. This is because they have a terrifying habit of weaponizing false police reports whenever things don't go their way. They literally tried to slap a criminal charge on their 80-year-old grandfather when he refused to give them $500 for weed and alcohol. The case went absolutely nowhere because the poor old man had literally just placed a gentle hand on a shoulder. However, the entire male side of the family became absolutely terrified of them after that traumatic incident. Last year, one of the sisters, let's call her Lucy, got pregnant. She and her sisters immediately moved in with a generous relative in the city for the duration of her pregnancy. However, the exact day she gave birth, she almost lost the baby to social services because she showed up to the hospital completely high. 2 days later, that relative kicked them out for trashing his house and running a smear campaign against him. And that is when everything changed. When they left, they tried to steal all the expensive baby gear the relative had purchased for his own home. When he refused to let them take it, they tried to hit him with a false police report too. Fortunately, he had an incredible lawyer. The case was immediately thrown out, and he secured a strict restraining order against them. The reality is that Lucy has absolutely no idea who the father of her child is. Every time she tries to force a guy to take financial responsibility, they ask for a simple paternity test, and she flatly refuses to do it. Because of her pride, she gets 0 child support and instead spends every dime of her government assistance on weed, alcohol, and cigarettes. She is then left constantly begging extended family members for basic necessities like diapers. For months, they bombarded my boyfriend with demands for rent money, but he rightfully refused every single time, stating he wants absolutely nothing to do with them or the baby. Since they could no longer leech off him, they immediately decided to target me instead. Even though they have always openly disliked me, his sisters recently started showing up at my actual place of employment and cornering me there. They are now aggressively demanding that I hand over my hard-earned money for their food, rent, and diapers. They loudly claimed that I needed to start supporting my niece. I firmly looked them in the eye and told them I wasn't giving them a single cent. I told them that maybe instead of blowing all their money on drugs and alcohol, they should try using it to feed the baby. I made it clear that this was Lucy's responsibility, and that she was the one who chose to get pregnant while jobless, broke, and partying. They flew into an absolute rage and immediately went online to launch a massive, coordinated smear campaign against me. They are now actively posting that I am a heartless monster who refuses to help a struggling single mother. To make matters worse, my boyfriend's enabling family is now blowing up both of our phones, screaming that family helps family, and calling me a cruel, cold woman. Well, everything reached a terrifying peak today. They marched back into my workplace, cornered me in front of customers, and aggressively demanded cash. When I refused again, they caused a massive, chaotic scene and began turning physically violent. My terrified coworker had to call the police, and the cops literally had to drag them out of the building. As they were being escorted out in handcuffs, they glared at me and shouted that this wasn't over and that I would get what was coming to me. I am currently terrified, exhausted, and in the process of filing a restraining order so I don't lose my job. My boyfriend's family thinks I am an absolute monster for calling the law on them, but I feel like I am just protecting my life. Am I really the jerk here?